What's interesting about this too is that there's this culture of like, we want to win, right? I think that's often missing on campuses, right? They don't see themselves as as you would in the corporate world or as you would in the sports world, where you're in this to win something at some point, right? And I think that might be missing on some campuses in terms of their culture. I just want to stay with that for a moment, Jim, as we start to wrap up here, and before we turn to the panel that is really going to be focused on how this vision was actually realized, because governance is something that's very different in higher ed compared to the rest of the world. You have trustees, we've talked a little bit about them, you have faculty, and my understanding is that the board was a big part of authorizing the initial innovation structures you put in place. And what needed to be true for them to sign on? From a funding perspective, for example, what kind of plans did you need to share with them in advance? Because again, we're going to have a lot of trustees and presidents listening to this, and they're going to want to know, okay, this all sounds great, but a lot of this is unknown. It's very ambiguous at some point, and you need to say, we're going to make these bets. But we're not always going to know what the outcome is. We can't do a pro forma on everything. We can't know exactly how much this is going to cost and how much this is going to return. So what did you need to do to satisfy the trustees? And what did you need to do to satisfy the faculty, if anything?
Yeah. Well, I just heard something. We did some alumni awards, and one of the recipients, they used some words, I won't get this exactly right, but it was kind of calm, collaborative integrity. And I think if people see that there is a calmness to this, you don't overreact to those people that are yelling and screaming, and you're always going to have those people out there. You're calm through those things. You deal with those things when you have to. You're collaborative, like, listen, this is what we're thinking about doing. I do think our transparency is strong here at Butler. That's an important thing. So we might disagree. And eventually you have to say, at the end of the day, we hear you, but we have to move in this direction. And I think over time you build up integrity, not just myself, but your leadership team, your deans. We have people one of our deans of arts and sciences, which is the toughest job on campus, he's now our acting provost, has just been a very steady. Our provost at the time that I hired, I pulled her off of out of the psychology department where she was a department chair. I thought she was outstanding. We just gave her an award. She's president at St. Lawrence today. She was a very calming influence, and she just mentioned this at this award ceremony, like she would be the person that would say, okay, we hear what you guys are getting all crazy here. Here's how the faculty are going to view that. And we would decide which way to go, and then she would help make sure the path was paved. So it's that sense of collaboration. It's being consistent in the way you manage and lead, and it's respecting people, and don't let those loud voices override everyone else where you say, they're still here, by the way. The same people that were yelling at me when I first showed up in 2011, are any of them here? We could point them out, actually. We all know who they are. And that's the point. You just don't play to that segment of the population.
It's interesting because I think collaboration sometimes in higher ed is seen as 100% agreement, which you're never going to get to, right? And I think a lot of presidents get sidelined because of that. They kind of get stuck in place because they're waiting for that.
Well, I know a little bit was how long you've been doing this and you were an entrepreneur. But listen, when you start to do things for 40, 50 years, you develop the kind of the rhythm for how to do it. Some people are thrust into, I believe this, in academic leadership that frankly don't have that experience. They were a researcher, they did this. Not to say that that's inappropriate. There are great leaders that have come out of that too, but they might not have had 30 years of being yelled at or how to get something to be achieved. So there is something I think about that, right?